After 60, your balance isn't what it used to be. That's not age talking. That's a warning your nervous system is sending, and 99% of American seniors ignore it until a fall changes everything. In Japan, people over 60 practice a single standing movement for less than 2 minutes each morning, and their hip fracture rates are almost half of ours. Half. Not because of genetics or luck, but because they never stopped training the one system American doctors rarely mention until it's too late. Here's what they don't tell you. Your inner ear, the tiny organ that keeps you upright, starts losing cells at 50. By 70, 30% of those cells are gone. You feel it when you stand up too fast, when you turn your head in the shower, when you step off a curb and your foot doesn't land where you thought it would. That lag between what your brain expects and what your body does, that's vestibular decline, and it's the #1 predictor of a serious fall in the next 12 months. Not weak legs, not poor vision, balance. But here's the part that should make you angry. We treat balance like it's fixed, like it's something that just gets worse with age and there's nothing you can do. Meanwhile, in Okinawa and Kyoto, 70-year-olds are standing on one leg while brushing their teeth. 80-year-olds are walking heel-to-toe down narrow garden paths. And their emergency rooms see a fraction of the hip surgeries ours do. They're not superhuman. They're just doing one thing we stopped doing the moment we retired. They're challenging their balance every single day. I'm going to walk you through 6 Japanese movements that reverse vestibular decline, rebuild proprioception, and cut your fall risk in ways that grip socks and grab bars never will. Number 6 is so simple you can start it today in your kitchen. Number 2 involves a doorway and will feel impossible for about 4 days. Then suddenly your body remembers. And number 1, it's a 60-second practice Japanese doctors call the single best predictor of how long you'll stay independent, and almost no one in America has heard of it. Before we go further, drop a comment right now and tell me your age and where you're watching from. I want to know who's here and who's ready to take this seriously, because what comes next isn't theory. It's a system, and it works if you work it. Let's start with number 6. It's called tandem stance, and in English that just means standing with one foot directly in front of the other, heel to toe, like you're on a tightrope. You're not moving. You're not walking. You're just standing there, arms at your sides, eyes open, and you're holding it for 30 seconds. If that sounds easy, try it right now. Most people over 60 can't make it past 8 seconds without wobbling or putting a hand on the wall. Why does this matter? Because tandem stance forces your brain to use all 3 balance systems at once. Your vision, your inner ear, and something called proprioception, which is your body's ability to sense where it is in space. When you stand normally, feet apart, your brain can get lazy. It relies mostly on vision. But the moment you narrow your base, your brain has to wake up the vestibular system and the tiny sensors in your ankles and hips that tell you whether you're tipping forward or back. That integration, that conversation between systems, is what keeps you upright when you trip on a rug or miss a step in dim light. Research from balance clinics across the United States and Japan has shown that people who can hold tandem stance for 30 seconds have significantly lower fall rates over the following year compared to those who can't. It's not about strength, it's about communication. Your brain and body staying in sync. Let me tell you about Margaret. She's 67, lives in Ohio, used to teach elementary school. Last spring, she started feeling unsteady getting out of the car, and her daughter noticed she was gripping the counter every time she reached for a dish. Margaret thought it was just age. I had her try tandem stance in her living room. She lasted 4 seconds and nearly toppled into the couch. We started practicing twice a day, morning and evening, 30 seconds each time. First week, she used a finger on the wall. Second week, she let go for a few seconds at a time. By week 3, she hit 30 seconds without support, and the wobbly feeling when she stood up? Gone. That was 8 weeks ago. She's still practicing, and she just told me she walked her granddaughter to the park without thinking about every step. Here's your protocol. Find a clear space with a wall or counter nearby, just in case. Put your right foot directly in front of your left, heel touching toes. Keep your head up, eyes forward, arms relaxed. Hold for 30 seconds. If you can't, hold as long as you can, rest, and try again. Do this twice a day. Once you can hit 30 seconds consistently, close your eyes. That's the next level, and it's brutal at first because you're removing vision and forcing your vestibular system to do all the work. That's exactly what you want. Now, here's the kicker. Tandem stance is just the foundation. It teaches your brain to pay attention. But it doesn't move, and movement is where balance gets tested in real life. That brings us to number 5. Number 5 is tandem walking, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're walking heel to toe in a straight line, like a sobriety test, but slower and with intention. In Japan, older adults practice this on flat garden stones or painted lines in community centers. The goal isn't speed. The goal is control. Every step requires your brain to predict where your body is going, adjust for tiny shifts in weight, and keep you from veering off course. Why does this work? Because walking heel to toe shrinks your base of support with every step, and that forces your stabilizer muscles in your hips, ankles, and core to fire constantly. Those muscles atrophy fast when we stop challenging them, and tandem walking wakes them back up. It also trains your gaze stability, which is your ability to keep your eyes locked on a target while your head is moving. That's critical when you're walking and looking around, which is when most falls happen. Data from rehabilitation centers show that people who practice tandem walking for just 2 minutes a day improve their gait speed and reduce their fear of falling within 3 weeks. Fear of falling is huge. It makes you move less, which makes you weaker, which makes you fall. Tandem walking breaks that cycle. I worked with a man named Robert, 71, retired contractor from Arizona. He'd had a minor fall in his garage 6 months earlier, nothing broken, but it spooked him. He stopped walking his dog, stopped going to the hardware store, started shuffling everywhere with his eyes glued to the ground. I had him practice tandem walking down the hallway of his house, 10 steps out, 10 steps back, twice a day. First few days he veered into the wall and laughed about it. By week 2 he was steady. By week 4 he walked his dog again, and he told me he felt 10 years younger just from not being afraid of his own feet. Here's what you do. Find a hallway or use a line on your kitchen floor. Walk heel to toe, 1 foot directly in front of the other for 10 steps. Keep your eyes on a spot at the end of the hall, not on your feet. If you need to, trail your fingers along the wall for support, but don't lean on it. Do this twice a day. Once you're steady, try it with your arms crossed over your chest. That removes your ability to catch yourself, and your brain has to work harder to keep you centered. Eventually, you can try it with your head turning side to side. That's advanced, and it mimics real-world conditions where you're walking and looking for a street sign or a friend's face. Pattern interrupt. Let's talk about what's happening in your brain right now. Every time you challenge your balance, your cerebellum, the part of your brain that coordinates movement starts building new pathways. It's called neuroplasticity, and it doesn't stop at 60 or 70 or 80. Your brain can rewire itself if you give it a reason. These movements are that reason. You're not just preventing falls. You're upgrading your nervous system. Number 4 is single leg standing, and this is where it gets serious. In Japan, they call this practice a longevity marker. If you can stand on one leg for 20 seconds at age 70, your risk of all-cause mortality over the next decade drops significantly compared to someone who can't. That's not just falls. That's heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline. Why? Because single-leg standing is a full-body systems check. It tests your strength, your balance, your circulation, your brain's ability to coordinate complex tasks under pressure. If you can do it, your body is still integrated. If you can't, something's breaking down, and you need to fix it before it cascades. Single leg standing isolates each leg and forces the supporting side to do all the work. Your hip stabilizers, your ankle, your core, they all have to activate in perfect sequence or you tip over. It also trains your vestibular system harder than tandem stance because your center of gravity is higher and less stable. And here's the bonus. It reveals asymmetries. Most people have one leg that's way weaker or shakier than the other, and that imbalance is a huge fall risk because you instinctively favor the strong side and the weak side gets weaker. Studies in geriatric medicine journals have linked the inability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds to increased risk of falls and fractures. In some analyses, people who couldn't hold it were nearly twice as likely to experience a serious fall in the following year. That's a simple test with serious implications. I'll tell you about Linda, 69, used to work in a library in Oregon. She came to me because she'd twisted her ankle stepping off a curb, and it kept happening. Not falling, just that moment where her ankle gave out and she caught herself. I had her stand on one leg. Her right side was solid, 25 seconds, no problem. Her left side, 3 seconds, and she was grabbing for the counter. We worked on that left side every single day. 1 minute in the morning, 1 minute at night. I had her brush her teeth standing on her left leg, unload the dishwasher on her left leg, wait for her coffee on her left leg. She hated it at first. 2 weeks in, she hit 10 seconds. 4 weeks in, 20 seconds. Her ankle stopped giving out because the muscles and nerves that had gone dormant woke back up. Here's your protocol. Stand near a counter or wall. Lift your right foot a few inches off the ground, knee bent, and hold for 20 seconds. Keep your hips level, don't lean, eyes forward. Switch legs. Do this twice a day. If 20 seconds is too hard, start with 10 or 5 or whatever you can manage. Progress matters more than perfection. Once you're solid at 20 seconds, close your eyes. That's when it gets wild, because you lose all visual input and your vestibular system is flying blind. Start with just 5 seconds eyes closed and build from there. Here's a modification if you have knee pain or balance issues. Hold onto the counter with one hand and just lift your heel off the ground while keeping your toes down. You're still activating the stabilizers, but you're giving yourself support. Gradually reduce the grip until you're just touching with a fingertip, then let go. Baby steps, no shame. Just progress. Now we move into territory most American seniors never explore, and that's movement with head turns. That brings us to number 3, and it's called gaze stabilization walking. You're walking forward at a normal pace, but every few steps you turn your head to the right, then to the left, while keeping your eyes on a target. In Japan, elderly groups practice this in parks, walking paths with markers on trees, and they train their eyes to stay locked on each marker even as their head rotates. Why is this so powerful? Because most falls happen when you're doing 2 things at once: walking and looking for a sign, walking and talking to someone beside you, walking and turning your head to check traffic. If your vestibular ocular reflex, the system that keeps your eyes stable when your head moves, is weak, the world blurs when you turn your head, and your brain panics and slows you down or makes you stumble. Gaze stabilization walking trains that reflex to stay sharp. Research from vestibular rehabilitation programs has found that people who practice gaze stabilization exercises show significant improvements in dynamic balance and report fewer near-fall incidents. The mechanism is straightforward. Your inner ear detects the head movement and instantly tells your eye muscles to counter-rotate so your gaze stays fixed. If that reflex is slow or weak, you lose visual stability, and balance suffers. I worked with a woman named Carol, 73, from Pennsylvania, who loved going to farmers markets but had stopped because she kept bumping into people and felt dizzy in the crowd. She couldn't walk and look around at the same time without feeling off balance. I taught her gaze stabilization walking. We started in her driveway. She walked 10 steps, turned her head right and looked at the mailbox for 2 seconds, turned left and looked at the garage door for 2 seconds, kept walking. First time she felt dizzy and stopped. I told her that's normal. It's your brain recalibrating. She did it every morning for 2 weeks. The dizziness faded, and by week 3 she went back to the farmer's market. She told me she felt like herself again, just from teaching her eyes and ears to work together while moving. Here's what you do. Walk forward at a comfortable pace. Every 3 or 4 steps, turn your head to the right and look at something specific. A picture on the wall, a tree outside, whatever. Hold your gaze for a count of 2, Then turn your head to the left and do the same. Keep walking the whole time. Do this for 1 minute, twice a day. If you feel dizzy, slow down, but don't stop unless you feel unsafe. The dizziness is your vestibular system waking up, and it usually fades in a few days. You're retraining a reflex that's been asleep. Pro tip: start with big, slow head turns and gradually make them faster and smaller. Eventually, you want quick, sharp turns while walking because that's what real life demands. And if you really want to level up, try it while walking backward. That's advanced, and it's ferociously effective, but make sure you have a clear space and maybe a buddy nearby. Here's the truth. Everything we've done so far is building toward independence, not just staying upright but moving through the world with confidence. Because confidence changes everything. It's the difference between staying home and visiting a friend, between shuffling and striding, between fear and freedom, and we're only halfway through. Number 2 is the movement Japanese physical therapists say almost no one can do on the first try, but once you master it, your balance feels supernatural. It's called the tandem stance head turn, and it combines two things we've already covered but in a way that's 10 times harder. You're standing heel to toe, and while you're holding that position, you slowly turn your head side to side, keeping your body absolutely still. Why is this so difficult? Because when you turn your head in a narrow stance, your brain gets conflicting signals. Your eyes are telling you you're rotating. Your inner ear is detecting the movement, but your body has to stay locked in place. That requires your cerebellum, your vestibular system, and your stabilizer muscles to work in perfect harmony. Most people wobble or step out within 2 seconds. But if you can train this, you build a level of balance control that translates to every unstable surface, every unexpected bump, every moment where you have to react fast. Rehabilitation specialists have used this exercise for years with people recovering from vestibular disorders, and the results are consistent. People who practice tandem stance with head turns report fewer falls and greater confidence in challenging environments like crowded stores or uneven sidewalks. It's also one of the few exercises that directly trains your ability to separate head movement from body movement, which is a skill that deteriorates sharply after 60 if you don't use it. Let me tell you about James, 74, retired firefighter from Texas. He'd always been strong, but after a bout of vertigo a year earlier, he never felt quite right. He could walk fine, but any time he turned his head quickly, like checking his blind spot while driving, he felt a wave of imbalance. I had him try tandem stance head turn. He lasted maybe 3 seconds before stepping out, and he was frustrated. I told him that's exactly where we start. We practiced every day. 30 seconds of tandem stance, then slow head turns. Right, center, left, center, 5 times. First week was rough. Second week he made it through without stepping out. Third week he was steady, and the wobbly feeling when he drove? Gone. He told me he felt like he'd gotten his reflexes back. Here's your protocol. Get into tandem stance, heel to toe, near a wall for safety. Once you're stable, slowly turn your head to the right. Pause for 1 second, return to center. Then turn to the left, pause, return to center. Do 5 turns each side. Keep your body completely still. If you step out, reset and try again. Do this twice a day. It's going to feel impossible at first. That's fine. You're teaching your brain something it forgot. Modifications. If tandem stance is too hard, start with feet hip-width apart and do the head turns. Then gradually narrow your stance over a few weeks. If you have neck pain, reduce the range of motion. Small turns are still effective. And if you feel dizzy, slow way down and focus on a single point in front of you between turns. That gives your brain a visual anchor. Here's what nobody tells you. The reason American seniors fall at twice the rate of Japanese seniors isn't genetics. It's practice. In Japan, balance training is woven into daily life. They stand on one leg while waiting for the train. They walk heel to toe on narrow garden paths. They turn their heads while moving because their homes and streets are designed to require it. We've engineered all of that out. Our homes are flat, wide, predictable. Our bodies adapt to what we demand of them, and we've stopped demanding balance. These 6 movements put that demand back in. Now, let's talk about number 1. The single practice Japanese doctors say is the most accurate predictor of how long you'll stay independent. It's called the sit-to-stand test, but not the way you think. You're not just standing up from a chair. You're sitting down and standing up 5 times in a row, as fast as you can safely manage, without using your hands. That's it. Sounds simple. But if it takes you longer than 15 seconds to complete 5 reps, your risk of losing independence in the next 5 years is significantly elevated. If you can't do it at all without using your hands, that risk doubles. Why is this such a powerful marker? Because sitting and standing is the most fundamental movement pattern of daily life. You do it dozens of times a day. Getting out of bed, off the toilet, out of a car, up from the dinner table. It requires leg strength, core stability, balance, coordination, and power. Power is force times speed, and after 60, power declines faster than strength. That means you might still be strong enough to stand, but if you can't do it quickly, you can't catch yourself when you trip. You can't react. The sit-to-stand test measures all of that in 15 seconds. Data from longitudinal studies on aging have shown that people who score poorly on the sit-to-stand test, meaning they take longer than 15 seconds or need to use their hands, have higher rates of falls, fractures, and institutionalization. In some analyses, it's a stronger predictor than grip strength or walking speed. It's also a test you can do at home with zero equipment, which makes it incredibly useful. I want to tell you about Dorothy. She's 78, lives alone in Florida, used to be a dancer. She was feeling fine, no major complaints, but her son asked me to check in on her because he was worried she wasn't moving as well. I had her do the sit-to-stand test. She used her hands to push off the chair every single time and took nearly 30 seconds for 5 reps. She was shocked. She thought she was doing great. We started working on it immediately, 3 times a day, every day. I had her practice sitting and standing from a dining chair without using her hands, even if it meant she only did 1 or 2 reps at first. We focused on driving through her heels, engaging her glutes, keeping her chest up. Within 2 weeks, she was doing all 5 reps without hands, and her time dropped to 18 seconds. A month later, 13 seconds. She told me she felt stronger getting out of the car, more confident in the bathroom, less worried about being alone. That test changed everything for her because it showed her what she needed to fix before it became a crisis. Here's your protocol. Sit in a firm chair, feet flat on the ground, hip-width apart. Cross your arms over your chest so you can't use them to push off. Stand up fully, then sit back down with control. That's 1 rep. Do 5 reps as quickly as you can without sacrificing form. Time yourself. If you can do it in under 12 seconds, you're doing fantastic. 12 to 15 seconds, you're in the safe zone. Over 15 seconds, you need to work on this daily. If you can't do it without using your hands, start there. Practice sitting and standing with just 1 finger on the armrest, then progress to no hands over a few weeks. The key is intention. Don't just flop down into the chair. Control the descent. That eccentric phase, the lowering, is where you build strength. And don't lean forward too much when you stand. Drive through your heels, squeeze your glutes, and imagine pushing the floor away. That's the power component. Here's a progression. Once you're solid with 5 reps in under 12 seconds, add a 6th and 7th rep. Then try it from a lower chair, which is much harder. Then try it with your eyes closed, which forces your balance system to work without visual feedback. You can also add a very light weight, like a small backpack with a book in it, to increase resistance. But never sacrifice form for speed. Quality reps build strength. Sloppy reps build injuries. Let's pause and put this all together. You've got 6 movements: tandem stance, tandem walking, single leg standing, gaze stabilization walking, tandem stance with head turns, and sit to stand. Each one targets a different piece of the balance puzzle. Each one builds on the last. And here's the best part. You can cycle through all 6 in less than 10 minutes. 2 minutes per movement, once in the morning and once in the evening. That's it. 20 minutes a day total, and within a month, your balance will be better than it's been in years. But let's talk about what actually happens if you don't do this. Every year, 1 in 4 Americans over 65 falls. Of those falls, 20% result in serious injury. Hip fractures, head trauma, broken wrists. Half of people who break a hip never regain full independence. They move in with family or into assisted living. They lose mobility, lose confidence, lose the life they had. And the tragic part? Most of those falls were preventable. Not with better shoes or grab bars, though those help, but with better balance, better strength, better nervous system integration. With practice, the Japanese model isn't magic. It's consistency. It's treating balance like a skill that requires maintenance, not a fixed trait that declines with age. They practice these movements the way Americans practice checking email, daily, automatically, without thinking about it. And the result is a population that stays independent longer, falls less, and moves through the world with confidence well into their 80s and 90s. Here's the identity shift I want you to make. You're not old. You're undertrained. And training fixes that. Your vestibular system, your proprioception, your stabilizer muscles, they're all still there. They're just waiting for a reason to wake up. These 6 movements are that reason. You're not fighting age. You're reclaiming capacity. Now let's get practical about how to build this into your life. Start with one movement, just one. Pick the easiest, which is probably tandem stance, and do it twice a day for a week. Morning and evening. 30 seconds each time. That's it. No pressure. No perfection. Just consistency. After a week, add the second movement. Tandem walking. 2 weeks in, add single leg standing. Build slowly. Let your body adapt. By week 4, you'll be doing all 6 movements, and by week 8, you won't even think about it. It'll be part of your routine, like brushing your teeth or making coffee. Habit stacking is your friend here. Tandem stance while the coffee brews. Single leg stand while brushing your teeth. Sit to stand before you leave the kitchen after breakfast. Tandem walking down the hallway on your way to the bedroom. Gaze stabilization while walking to the mailbox. Tandem stance head turn while waiting for the microwave. Tie these movements to things you already do, and they'll stick. And here's the thing about balance training. It's invisible. You won't see your legs get bigger or your arms get stronger, but you'll feel it. You'll feel it when you step off a curb and your ankle adjusts instantly. You'll feel it when you turn your head and the world stays sharp. You'll feel it when you stand up from a chair without thinking about it. You'll feel it when you walk into a crowded room and you're not afraid of bumping into someone. That feeling is power. That feeling is freedom. Let me give you one more reason to take this seriously. Balance isn't just about preventing falls. It's about longevity. People with good balance live longer. They have better cardiovascular health, better cognitive function, lower rates of dementia. Why? Because balance is a marker of systemic health. It means your brain is talking to your body. It means your muscles are responding to signals. It means your circulation is delivering oxygen where it needs to go. When balance declines, it's often the first sign that other systems are starting to fail. When you improve balance, you're not just preventing falls. You're sending a signal to every system in your body that you're still in the game. There's a study from Japan, widely cited in geriatric research that followed people over 70 for a decade. The ones who could stand on one leg for 20 seconds at baseline had significantly lower rates of stroke, heart disease, and death from any cause. Not because standing on one leg prevents heart attacks, but because the ability to do it reflected a body that was still integrated, still strong, still coordinated. Balance is a window into your overall health, and improving it improves everything else. So here's what I want you to do right now. Stand up. Put this into practice. Try tandem stance for 30 seconds. Just try it. See where you are. No judgment. Just information. And then decide. Are you going to keep ignoring this, or are you going to spend 10 minutes a day reclaiming your independence? Because that's the choice. Not whether you'll get older. You will. But whether you'll get older while staying strong, stable, and free, or whether you'll get older while getting weaker, more fearful, and more dependent. The Japanese have known this for generations. Balance is a skill, fall risk is a choice, and independence is something you fight for every single day, one movement at a time. You don't need a gym. You don't need equipment. You just need a wall, a hallway, and 10 minutes. That's it. That's the difference between the life you have and the life you want. Which one of these 6 movements are you going to start with today, and why? Drop a comment and let me know. I want to hear your plan.